born here, raised here, had been an officer here for all his 20 years in law enforcement, and was the self-appointed purveyor of local knowledge. Especially not in broad daylight. For the most part, he's a nocturnal creature. Well, it's a beautiful day out, and Donati might need backup while dealing with this wild creature. Another ripple of laughter. Ito, you're in charge. As Dumas walked out, he was aware the sentiment in the department was oh so slowly shifting his way. When he'd first arrived as the newly appointed police chief of the municipality of Rockin, he was all smiles and affability, shaking hands, laying on the thick Cajun accent, convincing them he was the chief they imagined. Maybe corrupt, possibly lazy, certainly none too bright. When he told them he was there to kick butt and take names, but he'd forgotten his pencil, they'd smirked. Then he'd called 3 of them in, right in a row, and fired them. Boom, boom, boom. They were the easy ones. Officer Gerasimova, who took a call and always took the long way around. Officer Nichols, who arrested women for jaywalking and ignored the guys drag racing down Main Street. And Officer West, who beat up his girlfriend, had a restraining order slapped on him, and ignored it. Dumas did not kick dogs or gratuitously hit women, or anyone for that matter. His job was to protect and serve, and he took that duty seriously. Ignoring the restraining order was unlawful, and when he fired West, he said so. West had called Dumas dumbass, because Dumas had never heard that insult before, slammed down his sidearm, the keys to his patrol car, and a few other essentials, and stormed out. Dumas had taken 5 minutes to don his bulletproof vest and pick a team to provide backup in case of trouble. The cops had headed to the girlfriend's place of employment and got there in time to find West aiming a loaded shotgun and holding the whole diner hostage while his girlfriend begged him to shoot her and spare the kids. Dumas had drawn his sidearm and ordered West to stand down. West had swiveled toward Dumas, ready to shoot. Dumas had nailed him in the chest right over the heart. Didn't kill him, sadly. West wore his own bulletproof armor, but the bullet knocked him backward, and another fast shot removed his elbow and, with it, the shotgun, saving the good people in the diner from harm. Unfortunately, while more officers arrived to handle the situation, Dumas enjoyed a hospital visit to remove stray buckshot from his thigh and forehead. The doctors had wanted to keep him for observation. He'd brushed away their advice, taken pain relievers, and returned to work. He'd limped in to find his backups giving a full accounting of the episode, as the rest of his officers drank coffee and buzzed with excitement. One look at the bandage on his face and the bruise that spread out around it, and they'd hopped fast to their desks or out to their patrol cars. With not an ounce of his former affability, he'd said, "Did I neglect to mention that I won the Southern Regional Small Arms Championship?" Silence. A mutter from Officer Harlequin. "Hadn't heard that." And another from Officer Schofield. "Congratulations, Chief." Dumas had limped toward his office, groaning and making much of his injuries. They might think he was old, but all of them knew buckshot from a gun fired 10 feet away could have been deadly. In the doorway, he'd turned. "Also the World Championship, but I don't like to brag. Gentlemen, the good old boys' club of Rockin law enforcement is officially at an end. You all comprehend that?" Most of them had returned his gaze and nodded, but he'd taken note of those who never quite met his eyes. Within 5 minutes, Dumas had called Officer Ito in, put him in charge of screening applicants for the new openings in the Rockin Police Department. The first hire had been local, from the Alaska State Troopers, a guy who lived in the Rockin outskirts and wanted a job closer to home. That was Eric Chi. Then they'd picked up Colton Joshi from Anchorage, and Gabriella Donati had applied from Nevada. Her excellent recommendations, her driving skills. Nevada's roads were similar to Alaska's in their long, empty stretches that in an emergency allowed great speed. And the summers she'd spent in Rockin had given her the edge over other applicants. Her pilot's license sealed the deal. In Alaska, every officer, whether it was the Alaska State Troopers or the local Metropolitan Police, covered vast amounts of territory. Most important, Dumas had known she would overcome the resistance of the all-male department. She could get along, and it had been